of the Architectural Review Board at 4 o'clock. Can we please do a roll call, Erica?
Sure. Chair Bluth,
Here.
Vice Chair Hunter,
Present.
Committee Member Carter.
Here.
Committee Member Ostavar. Looks like he's absent. Committee Member Polly. It looks like he's also absent. Committee Member Schmidt.
Present.
And Committee Member Tregenza.
Here.
Great. It looks like we do have a quorum. Staff members present are Principal Planner Roveri, Senior Planner Schmidt, and myself, Recording Secretary Barrera.
Okay, let's open the consent agenda. It looks like we only have the notes from 18 March. Does anyone have any comments or issues that are on the consent agenda? Make a motion to approve. Well, first we have to do comment, right? Erica, could you do your announcement thing?
Sure, I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the public are encouraged to join our meetings via Zoom Gov, a secure service that connects you live with no lag time. This meeting is also streamed live on youtube.com/City of Monterey and Comcast Channel 25. If you would like to provide public comment, please join the meeting using Zoom or by telephone, making sure to join in time to accommodate delays. To join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. Since this meeting has started, you'll find the agenda under the Recent tab. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. Today's webinar ID is 161-914-9563. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. Public commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak. Please turn off your TV or computer speakers or go into another room while connected, as background noise interferes with the broadcast. Public speakers will be called upon in order of hands raised. There is a 3-minute time limit for today's meeting. Please stay within that limit. And I currently see no attendees online, and there's nobody in the chambers, so I think it's safe to move on.
Okay. Since we don't have anybody, would someone like to make a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Thanks, Patrick. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Now, let's see. That was almost at the same time.
Ed can have it.
Ed gets it. You're the winner. Okay, so any further discussion on that?
Should we acknowledge that Justin just joined the meeting?
I have
Oh.
him marked as 402.
Okay.
Oh, great. And we have another member that joined. Great. Then can we do a roll call vote?
Sure. Okay. Okay. Chair Bluth,
Aye.
Vice Chair Hunter,
Aye.
Committee Member Carter,
Aye.
Committee Member Ostavar is absent. Committee Member Polly was a little late, so I'll
Abstain.
abstained. Committee Member Schmidt.
Aye.
And Committee Member Tregenza.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes carry with a vote of 4.
Fantastic. Do we have any comments that are not on the agenda, public or committee? I don't see any, so maybe we can move on. We can open the public appearance item, which is consider, looks like 2045 North Fremont Street sign permit application S1210227 for 1 replacement internally illuminated vehicle-oriented freestanding sign, replacement internally illuminated roof canopy sign, 2 replacement wall signs, and a replacement signage on 3 fuel dispensers. Applicant Signs Development, Inc. and owner Lorimore LLC. Do we have a staff presentation?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Let me just share my screen. My name is Chris. Schmidt. I'm Senior Associate Planner with the city. The applicant. So yes, this is a sign application for signage at a gas station. It's a Valero site.
We can't hear you, Chris.
Thank you. I'll start off with that here. I appreciate that. My name is Chris Schmidt. I'm Senior Associate Planner with the city. This is a sign application for new signage at a gas station. It's a Valero. And the staff recommendation is to approve the sign permit with conditions of approval. Just starting with background.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Chris. I'm still having a hard time hearing you. Is your microphone on?
Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Sorry. I think it was turning off for some reason, but it looks like it's staying on now. So third time's a charm here. So this is a sign application for a gas station. It is a Valero gas station, and they have a number of new signs. So just some background information about the site. It has a general plan designation of commercial and is zoned PCNF, which signifies the North Fremont specific plan is the land use document for the site. And you can see here it is at the corner of North Fremont Street and South Palo Verde Avenue. And then it is bounded by, I believe that's a single family residence on the north side, and on the east side is a hotel, and across Palo Verde is a restaurant. So here's the proposed site plan and the various different types of signs. So number one is at the corner, the vehicle oriented freestanding sign. It's the gas price sign, typical gas price sign. Number three, I skipped 2, and I'll be skipping 2 and 4 because they've removed those signs from their proposal. So number 3 is a roof sign on the canopy above the fuel pumps. Same with number 5, another canopy roof sign. And then there are 2 wall signs on the rear corner, store and service building behind the gas pumps. They did not label them, but the fuel pump signage is also part of the application as well. So this chart just shows the different types of signs again. You'll note that the first 3 signs are proposed with internal illumination, and then the square footages are shown on the right. This is the same chart that's on your staff report. If we need to reference it, we can go back to this slide. So starting with sign 1, the vehicle-oriented freestanding sign. As I mentioned, this is a typical gas station price sign. It is proposed with internal illumination. The previous 76 sign was also internally illuminated. And then I'll get into the land use requirements, but we do require that when you replace the internally illuminated signs in the North Fremont area, they require an opaque background. So they've done that here. On the right-hand side, you see the night illumination view. And so what is in black would basically be non-illuminated, and everything else would be in the color and would be lit with the colors shown here. Sign 3 would be one of the canopy roof signs. This one is the one that faces North Fremont Street. And it's just the Valero V logo. It's 7.55 square feet. And you'll see on the elevation of the existing condition, which they've actually gone and painted the site and put up some signs that have not been permitted for their changeover. But there was no sign at this location with the previous 76, as you can see. The next canopy roof sign number 5, is the Valero text, also proposed to be internally illuminated. It is 31.85 square feet, and this elevation faces South Palo Verde Avenue. I wrote street, but it's avenue. And then the last 2 wall signs. So there's a wall sign facing North Fremont Street here at their service center. It's 18.76 square feet. And then on the other side, facing South Palo Verde, 28.25 square feet. And then lastly, the fuel pump signs, which in the report I titled the fuel dispenser signs. Each are 8.1 square feet. The applicant's detail, I think, said they were about 5 square feet, but they didn't include the pump topper add frame. So I've added that into the calculation. And that since there are three pumps, it would be a total of 24.3 square feet. So there are a number of inconsistencies with the proposal. Staff is supportive of some of them, but it has conditions of approval that would remove some of the other consistencies. But starting with the first one, in the planned community, the PC zone, when the use is commercial, the requirement for maximum sign area is 1 square foot per linear foot of building frontage. The gas station and service building has a total of 72 linear feet. And the canopy, it does have a total of 77 total linear feet, but as defined, it doesn't actually have building frontage. Building frontage in the sign ordinance and sign guidelines is defined by having a sign face, which has a much larger area than what this canopy has. But staff felt that the canopy really did contribute to building massing and lot coverage. So it could potentially be considered if the ARC agrees. So the total signage would be 134.23, which is greater than 72 linear feet for just the building. But if the ARC considered the canopy in addition to the service building, the 134 number would be less than the total linear feet. This requirement has to do with vehicle-oriented freestanding signs. They typically have to have a minimum of a 100-foot wide lot, which this site is, but typically they're reserved for when the site has a building that is set back 20 feet or greater, and the canopy building is located at the property line, while the gas station is set back further, I think about 45 feet. I think that staff does feel that in terms of a gas station, that type of sign is appropriate so that motorists can see, the business and the price of gas. So staff is supportive with this consistency. Illumination. So the applicant did not provide lighting details. They left a note that the proposal would be consistent with the guidelines, but they didn't provide any information. So staff has recommended a condition of approval that they provide that before a building permit is issued. And then typically with internally illuminated signs, the city prefers indirect illumination and will allow exceptionally designed internal illumination. Sign 1 was found to be consistent with that requirement because they did use the opaque background, which is recommended by the North Fremont specific plan, but the other signs, sign 3 and 5, were found to be inconsistent, and staff recommends a condition that internal illumination is removed from those signs. The roof signs, so the requirement is that there's no more than 1 roof sign per building frontage. Again, the canopies don't have a building face as defined, but there are 2 total roof signs, 1 per frontage, so staff is okay with this one. Going on to the North Fremont specific plan requirements. So the specific plan is very specific in terms of how it wants to treat internally illuminated signs moving forward. It says that signs can be replaced once, regardless of their purpose or circumstance. So in the case of this project, signs 1 and 5 are proposed for replacement. They previously had internally illuminated signs at those locations. Sign 5 has been changed in terms of design pretty substantially, so we're still recommending that internal illumination be removed from that one. Sign 3 did not have illumination, so we're recommending removal with that one as well. This is kind of a continuation of these policies regarding internal illumination, and as I mentioned, it allows replacement one time and the background has to be opaque. So they've done that with sign 1. Again, we're recommending removal of that lighting from 3 and 5. As I mentioned already, so you can see the previous 76 sign and the proposed Valero sign. It has changed pretty substantially. It's no longer a logo. It's the brand text and increase in size, which is, I think we're supportive of the size, just not the lighting. And this has to do with the same, these are all the same standards essentially. So again, just to reiterate, these were the conditions of approval that we recommended, that the applicant provides lighting details before the building permit is issued, internal illumination removed from signs 3 and 5, and all other signage that is not permitted with this permit be removed, which the applicant did include that note on their plans. So moving on to the findings of approval, the ARC has to make 3 findings to approve sign permits. The first is that the proposal achieves the purposes and objectives of the sign ordinance. And staff has felt that as conditioned that the proposal does meet those purposes and objectives. It does not constitute a proliferation of signs. It identifies the business. It would not include extraneous larger signs or overly bright lit signs, which might detract from the scenic qualities of the city and surrounding area. And the conditions would mitigate potential cumulative detrimental impacts from too many internally lit signs in close proximity. The second finding is that the project is consistent with the sign guidelines, or the ARC determines that this project it better achieves the purposes and objectives than strict application of the guidelines. And as I mentioned, as conditioned, the project does achieve those purposes and objectives. And then lastly, the proposal must be consistent with the general plan, which it is consistent with the commercial general plan land use designation. And there's a typo there, that it supports a commercial use. Urban design element policy F9 states that we should discourage high levels of ambient light and maintain night skies where stars can be seen. This excuse me, this proposal does not include uplighting, and that all other lighting is generally, at least with sign 1, they have an opaque background, and we're recommending no other internally lit lighting, lit signs. And so as conditioned, the proposal is consistent with the North Fremont specific plan as well. So that concludes my presentation. Again, the staff recommendation is to approve the sign permit with the conditions I just mentioned. I am available for questions, and I don't know if the applicant is here. I had let them know we were going to have an in-person or Zoom meeting, and they were very eager to get on the agenda, so I expected them to be here. So I'm happy to try to answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Chris. Does anybody have any questions for Chris?
I have a question. Chris, signs 6 and 7, are they just going to read auto care?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And it's going to be that kind of brown with white lettering?
Right.
Got it.
And they do intend to paint the building, I think, in this similar color scheme that they show on their elevation as well.
Okay.
They have not submit a permit to do that yet, although it was recommended they submit prior in the case that there were items that needed to be approved by the ARC.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions. My first one is we went through a similar process with the gas station on the corner of Casa Verde in North Fremont, and they ended up, we told them to not have an internally illuminated sign, and they did it anyway. And so my concern is, A, are we trying to reduce internally illuminated signs on Fremont Street, which I thought we were? And B, can we make sure that this sign, I'm assuming it's going to be on that corner, so can we make sure that the sign has visibility around it so it's not blocking traffic? That was a conversation we had. And my third comment or question is, I realize that staff has approved an internally illuminated sign, but I'm not sure that I agree with that, just because we're trying to move away from that on the North Fremont district. So could we request, I mean, of course, at the pleasure of the committee, but maybe that they do gooseneck lighting or something on their signs or something similar to what Chevron's done with their signs, just so it's not like another internally illuminated sign on North Fremont.
Yeah, so starting with the internal illumination, the plan allows replacement one time. So we do like to give them that opportunity. If the committee decides that this is not exceptionally designed and they don't want to approve it, I think that's okay. In terms of the other sign, on a side note, we can look at that other sign on the corner of Casa Verde and North Fremont. And remind me, did I miss another question?
If we can make sure that there's some visibility underneath the
Oh.
sign.
Yes, underneath it. So we typically like to have a solid base that's recommended by the guidelines.
Okay.
When we review these monument signs, we do have the traffic engineer look at them, and in this case, they determined that as long as it was no larger than the sign that is currently there, that they're okay with it.
Okay.
So yeah,
There's just a ton of traffic on North Fremont.
sure.
Mhm. Any other questions?
Chris, on that sign on the corner that Zoe was just talking about, is the proposed the same dimensions as the existing 76 sign?
It's my understanding that it is, yes. I didn't go out and measure it myself, but I looked at it from a street view and it appeared to be that similar size.
Thank you.
Hey, any other questions? And is the applicant here, Erica?
I don't see any attendees. I can go ahead and remind the public how to provide.
Sure, why don't we
comment.
do that?
Sure. To
Thank
join
you.
a Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. Today's webinar ID is 161-914-9563. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. I still see no attendees.
Okay, then why don't we move on to committee discussion? Do we want to take up the idea of putting some limitations on the internally lit signs that we were just discussing?
Could I just add one comment?
Sure.
If you do, and sorry, just going back to that price sign on the corner, if you do look at their page 2 of the exhibit, they do have a photo of the existing 76 sign, and it does appear to be the same dimensions. I just wanted to confirm that.
Mhm. Thanks. So yeah, I think Zoe's comment was the only one that we really have to entertain. Does anybody have any comments or continued discussion on that?
I vaguely remember, I remember we had some concern about the proposal on Casa Verde, but and don't quote me on this, but I think it was something about LEDs versus internally illuminated. It was like, we didn't like the LEDs, but internally illuminated was okay, or something like that. I don't know if it was gooseneck versus internally illuminated, but I remember there was like this kind of new LED thing. And I know we had the same thing with LEDs on, Munris and Fremont. There was a place there that, so I personally am okay with the blacked out, the price sign with the blackout, and that we're pulling the plug on the illuminated sign on the canopy. I don't, I think it's well designed. It's got, good colors and balance. And so I don't think it's a bad design. And it'd be, I don't know, it'd be hard to see just a reflectively lit gooseneck sign, when you're searching for a gas bargain, in my opinion.
I think it was a Kelvin issue for those other two gas stations. So it was a temperature of or color. And then I think Zoe was right. There was an issue with visibility at that other gas station. At the turn there is so sharp at Casa Verde. I don't think that might be the case at this gas station. So, so do you want to try to make a motion given your concern, then we can discuss it? Or do you want to just go ahead and we'll make a motion?
We can, if there's any other discussion or comments, I'm happy to hear them. And then we can figure out a motion after that.
Any other comments?
Okay, then I will make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the 2045 North Fremont Street sign permit application SI 21-0227 for one replacement internally illuminated vehicle-oriented sign with conditions of approval.
Great. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Patrick. Can we do a roll call vote, Erica?
Can I just clarify? Because you just mentioned just the one sign. You're including all the signs as part of this?
Well, it's part of, all of them are part of the application, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Chair Bluth,
Aye.
Vice Chair Hunter,
Aye.
Committee Member Carter,
Aye.
Committee Member Polly,
Aye.
Committee Member Schmidt,
Aye.
and Committee Member Tregenza.
Aye.
Okay, this motion carries with a vote of 6. The decision is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 days, and applications can be found online or in the planning office.
Thank you. Any other committee comments?
I saw the sign at the Hyatt going up, and they basically just plopped it right in front of the rock sign that was there. And I remember us having a conversation about what that would look like, and it just doesn't look great. So it's kind of like,
It's just sitting on the rock wall.
yeah, it's just up against the rock that was there. So anyway.
Yeah, I was just discussing this with Chris, but I see a lot of these signs for rental property management. And it would be interesting to get a firm clarification. I know that I talked to Fernanda about it, but there's a big difference between a property sign, which is going for sale, which is clearly temporary, and then these property management signs, which are the same footprint as a real estate sign that stay up forever. And I'm just starting to see more of them. So I'm just curious, maybe at some point staff could discuss more with us about the rules governing those signs. And, do we need to maybe make a request to planning, through planning or some other part of the system to maybe change the rules? So. Is there any other staff reports?
I can bring back, I can make a quick presentation about that next time.
That would be great.
Yeah. I don't have any updates, really, other than it looks like we're gonna continue doing hybrid meetings. I don't have an update on field trips yet. That's just something that we haven't really discussed. It needs to be a conversation with city clerk's office, city attorney's office, and planning. But I will try to bring it up again.
Great. Thank you. Well, thanks, Chris.
I do have something I wanted to
Okay.
tell the commission. It's not on our agenda per se, but it is an important update. Yesterday, the council did review an ordinance amendment regarding ADUs. And there are existing policies regarding ADUs. The city allows ADUs in the R3 zone to be go to be built up to 25 feet, where in the rest of the city, they're limited to 16 feet. And in order to go up to 25 feet, those applications have to go to the ARC. And so that policy is in place, but we're also amending that slightly to potentially allow, the amendment would potentially allow some of the exemptions to development standards apply more broadly. And so we may see more of those applications in the future. There's another exception process. Currently, the ordinance requires that ADUs match the roof of their primary structure. And we found that in some cases that was not always either feasible or desirable by an applicant. And so we've also added a path that they could apply and go to the ARC, and the ARC could review that roof form or increase in height. So we may see those projects here in the future and hopefully get some housing.
That would be wonderful.
Chris, I'm sorry, you said 25 feet in what zone?
In the R3 zone, it's our multifamily, medium density residential zone.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Chris, Fernanda, and Erica, and the committee. I'll close this ARC at 4:33. Thank you.
Thank you.